Oh, there's the guy himself. You may recognize him. I'm not too sure.
How's it going?
Rich, welcome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Rich, can you, Aaron was just giving us a brief welcome here. Can you show us around some of the projects you've got going on here?
We'll start outside before it gets too dark out. But nothing inside the race trailer. The race car's inside with some new aero being put on it.
As we make our way up to the 7.3 here, can 7.2, thank you.
Yeah.
The 7.2, I looked at the Ford and instantly thought 7.3. 7.2, this was one of your projects that I followed as well, where you did a complete redo of the engine. So you put the Caterpillar, you can see the custom. How did that go?
Actually really good. So the roof rack is not meant for this. This is meant for one of the Defenders.
Looks like it kind of fits.
But it doesn't fit. It's not wide enough. So I'm like, I gotta stop there and I don't want to scratch it, so I gotta pick it up with the forks, but anyway. So,
I like it.
So they look cool, but you don't realize how much wind those things catch.
Okay.
And your mileage drops significantly. So I see these like small, like a big truck like this, it wouldn't really matter.
Yep.
But when you see these small cars driving around with these roof racks on it, or the fuel,
the ski holders,
the ski things, like you have no idea how much fuel that's costing you over the span of you doing it. But this one we drove out of California.
I was gonna say, this has been around the block.
Yeah, so this is we actually have,
this is our first road trip.
Yeah, and that's what kind of sparked our road trip things, because it was incredible. Like, when like a lot of our viewers are from down south and they don't realize the amount of rust and crap we get here. Do not buy used vehicles here in Canada. Go down south. This thing we picked up super cheap before they went crazy. Had the 460 gas in it, and so many memories just driving it back. So we put about 6,000 kilometers on it before we brought it home, and it has. Then we put the cat in. Originally we were going to put a 7.3 in it. And then the scrapyard where we were going to get the 7.3 from.
Check that out. Yeah. What year is that Ford from?
That's 2010.
Okay, I was going to say. Not quite.
2016?
Okay.
Yeah, 2014 to 16, we'll say.
Okay.
Between all the bits.
Look at that thing, though.
Yeah.
Rich isn't kidding. If you were to buy a vehicle here where we live, and it was this age, it would either be at the scrapyard or it would be on someone's lift in their shop, and they'd be talking about fixing up the rust holes. And that's the reality.
So this is original paint.
Yeah, is that right?
On the cat, so it's got a 7.2 liter 3126 Caterpillar in it, in line 6. So we want to do something different. So Scrapyard had one. They're like, you can buy a Ford with a 7.3 in it. He goes, just go out and buy a Ford with a 7.3 in it.
Sure.
You should put the cat in. And it runs so good, like it hums along like so good that we're even losing the trim. Like we're going so fast now. It never went this fast before. We're losing the trim.
Did you say it came with the 460 gas?
Yeah. And it got 9.
Look at that thing.
9 miles to the gallon. And then now with the cat in it, we get about 17 miles to the gallon. So not quite doubled it. And then I still have some shifting issues to take care of, but this is almost a daily. We use it quite a bit, so I don't have much time to with downtime, but I won't drive it in the winter, so we'll take a good look at it this winter, and just a few. I need to spend like a week on it just to button up a few loose ends yet. And it sounds good. It runs good. We have the entire build on the channel. This is probably one of my proudest builds. Yeah, this one turned out really good.
And normally with most channels, I'd be like, well, that's the end of the video, and that's a beautiful project. But the crazy part is, this is pretty mild compared to some of the stuff we're gonna look at, and that's why I'm happy that Rich and Aaron showing me around here.
Yeah. So this is our
K100.
K100. Yeah. So this is 1987, and this one was in a barn in Indiana since 96. So in 96 they changed the laws in the States where you weren't limited to a certain length anymore. So it was all cab overs before that, but then the anteaters came out, so the long nose, and nobody wanted to drive the cab overs anymore. So this company had a few of these trucks and parked them inside a barn and left them until a neighbor down the road saw him, and he bought 2 of them.
Yeah.
And brought him back, and didn't run since '96. And then he was gonna fix him up, never did anything with it. We saw it, and we're like, we'll buy it. And it's funny. So this is called an extended bunk. So the bunk stops here, but generally it would stop like right here.
Yeah. Okay.
So the extended bunk is kind of rare. So the neighbor has a trucking company across the road. He's like, where on earth did you find an extended bunk K100? And I said, 3 minutes that way, and he has another one. He's like, oh, and he left the driveway and he bought the other one. So
Okay.
I took all the original bits off, and between the 2 of our trucks, he was able to build his back to original, and then we completely did a frame off on this one. So I traded him all my bits off of this one for a T800 frame. So I stretched it without stretching it. I just put the cab on a different frame. 3406 B Cat, and this hauls our Sherman tank around. So and then we've used it as a pile of parades, and we have a low boy for it. So I picked some random stuff with it. So I share this one with V&R Recycling, which is a sponsor of ours, so we go halves on it. So it's a backup truck in case they lose their truck, but it is kind of too nice to use as a scrapyard. But this one has gone over very well on the channel too, yeah.
Seeing this in person, I'm impressed.
Yeah, I love this thing. This is where some of the wood will be going.
Sorry, what year did you say this was?
This is a 1955.
The Apache project, right?
The Apache. We call it Apache because we feel that would be searched more online. It's technically a 3100.
Oh, okay.
But I built the truck and I get to name it whatever I want.
Absolutely.
So the nickname is Apache. So we found this one in California, and it was bare bones, hadn't been touched in 40 years, and we flew down 3 times with a couple buddies. And we built an engine for it here, and then shipped it over to California, and then did all the work there. So we welded a 71 Camaro subframe on the front of this because they had a lot of LS conversion kits for it, and really nice suspension from QA1, and a 4-link the back, and then put a nice 6-speed in it, and this engine, and then we drove it all the way home from California like this. So
wow.
we hit up a bunch of shows. So this one's got probably about 15,000 kilometers on it now. And it's good the way it is, but I do want to refine it. Again, I hate doing it in summer because we like driving it, but I want to put some sound deadening in the cab, actually put some cab mounts on it, just touch up again those loose ends. But this is a fun truck to just fire up and go anywhere. So we trade this one around with the different guys in the channel. So this one again, it's not the vehicle, it's not of having it, it's the memories of doing it. Basically, we went there, we met up with a couple different YouTube channels there. We bought this off of one, Mike from StanceWorks, and he needed to free up some cash, and he's like, I'm never gonna get to this. We saw the patina, we loved it, and we're like, let's do it. Let's just go down there, come up with a plan. So we tore the truck apart, had a general plan in mind, did the suspension one time, figured out all the parts that we needed, flew home, flew back there, installed the engine, the transmission, realized all the little pieces that were missing, flew home again, and then a month later flew back with all the rest of the pieces, finished it up, and then drove it home. So it was really nice execution on that, and great guys that we were able to build this with. So 3 of us built this thing in 15 days total.
It's wild.
Yeah. So we and that was from non-running to driving it across the country. So.
And you've got a full build series on this as well that I've seen, and so I think, like I said, it's one of those things that it keeps getting better here. I don't know when it's going to get worse. I don't think it's going to. But look at this thing even sitting right here.
Yeah. So these are going to be the engines into our Edison projects.
Yeah,
and
wow.
This is the 2.8 Cummins that's going in it was already in our 95 Dodge Ram. So what we're doing now is building hybrid diesel conversion kits for pickups. Yeah. So this one was already in front of the manual transmission in a 95 Ram for emission testing and those purposes. The truck is tore apart now, and the electric axles are almost done. They're at a machine shop in town, and we're ready to bolt those on by the end of this week too. So I'm running out of room in the shop, so I just throw it in the back of here.
Well, that's not a bad problem to have, I suppose.
This is actually a 65 Fargo, and I never intended to build this thing. So this is just, we did a few will it start videos, and they generally do good, and it's a fun way to just create some content in a day or two. So we saw this cab on a dump truck, and I really liked the cab. I'm like, you know, let's see if we can get this thing started. And the owner told us it ran like 4 years ago. I'm like, well, that's okay. Even if it was seized, whatever, we can get it unseized, we can fire it up, right? And that engine was just one.
It was done, eh?
Block of rust. Yeah. So then we took it home. Like, the cab's not in that bad shape. So the floors are all there. It's got some Bondo on it because it's got like a ding in here.
Yep.
But it just adds character. It's not really rusted. So
not for an Ontario vehicle.
Not for an Ontario.
Ours would have holes in the floorboard. Yeah.
So we found a roll-off frame, which is a 49 International, and then it kind of went from there. I said, I want to build a truck. That's kind of a float truck, but you see a lot of ramp trucks in that online, but all they are ramp trucks.
Sure.
And they're heavy, and they're awkward, and they're underpowered.
Yep.
Whatever. So I thought, this is still hydraulic brakes, or we call them juice brakes, so you still just need a G license to drive this thing. And then we found a nice roll-off unit for it, and then our scrapyard had a flatbed for it. So we just finished building this headache rack and putting the whole roll-off assembly on it. So the idea is that now it's a flatbed, but it's also a dump truck, and it's also a welding rig, and it's also, I'd like to put a camper on the back of it.
Yeah, there we go.
You can dump the camper on the ground and then drive the truck away, and rather than climbing 3 steps up into your camper, now you just like open the door and step in. Right? Yeah.
And these tires here, like, are these steer tires off of a dump truck, or
yeah.
Like, these are massive?
Yeah. So we just put them on the back. It took a while to get the right stance.
Sure.
So, but I wanted to.
I like it.
We got lots of duals, so I'm like, we want a super single on the back, and then there's going to be some cabinets that go underneath here yet, so it'll cover up the roll off. We're going to leave the patina on this one. Some vehicles get paint, some vehicles get patina. This one is a patina one. We'll make the toolboxes match, and then we'll paint this the same color as that as well.
And true exhaust. Like, this is true exhaust going through there. So nothing hidden.
No, so the whole truck lifts up, and then the bed slides off. So this would end up over top of.
I see.
And then it would be a true dual exhaust, but then it's also a functional headache rack.
Yeah.
So we just finished that up. This is about as far as I'm going to take it. I had to do a bunch of this stuff outside because a lot of grinding and cutting and stuff. Now that it's winter time, we're going to be rebuilding the engine. So it's got a DT 466 in it, but this is the older one. And it runs. It's good to go as is. It's smoked quite a bit. Obviously, it's just test fitted in. But we did find kind of the holy grail of DT 466s, which is it has the P7100 pump rather than the MW, and you crank those right up. So it's like, okay, we could leave it alone, drive it as is. It wouldn't take much to put the transmission. It's an automatic in there right now. We got a 10-speed for it from the wreckers. I want a manual in it. It wouldn't take much to just put the manual on and drive it, but I've gone so far now, it's like, well, the DT46s aren't that expensive to rebuild, so we'll rebuild the engine, so we'll do that inside the shop, and then in the spring we'll put the whole truck together again and finish that up.
And this build is ongoing. Like, if someone comes to the channel, this is ongoing. Like, I follow this as well as some other projects, but you can follow along from here forward. So
so this I started about a year ago. We did quite a bit of work in 1 year, but this will be a very practical truck also for our Edison stuff.
Yep.
Our Dodge Ram will be pulling that around before it's road legal and officially done. We're gonna have to bring it to a bunch of shops. So it'll be neat to throw our hybrid electric diesel on the back of this. That is a true old diesel. With compounds, right? So the interior's redone in it. That's in the container. That's ready to go. Lots of welding, lots of little stuff to do on it yet. And I honestly could finish this one in about another 100 hours, I could probably have this one close to road, but I'll probably end up spending another 400 hours on it.
Yeah,
and then,
sure.
And then it's exactly the way I want it. So
never enough time in the day.
no, that's it. And this is our Sherman tank, which is a ton of fun. Goes in a pile of parades, and we've crushed some derby cars and stuff like that, and it's great for like we've had the youth group over from our church and that, and they get a kick out of it. It's
wow.
just, unfortunately, what we didn't realize is that it's also 10 feet wide.
Ah, for
wide.
the highway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so wide load.
Yeah, okay.
So it's a 6V71 in the back, so Detroit, with an automatic transmission that drives the tank's manual transmission. Fully functioning, you can drive it. The truck goes up on hydraulics, so you can see the red cylinder.
Oh, yeah.
So the whole truck lifts up, so you can work on it. But you can steer it, drive it from inside the cab. And we were hoping to do some off-road recovery with it. It's just I never have time. The time is a big deal. And we need permits to drive through any county legally.
Yes.
Because it's wide load. So we do some local stuff with it. We have some fun with it, knock over some trees and stuff. But this one, but unfortunately the 6V71 is a little bit underpowered. It weighs 50,000 pounds.
Wow.
And that motivated me to buy the trailer.
I remember that one, yeah.
I completely rebuilt the trailer. So that's all new tires and rims and sandblasted and paint and new air tanks, and it's brand new.
Yeah.
But we need to do some more with the truck, but again, I need more people.
Well, Rich, I'm impressed as it is, and I would love to say I have some expertise, but if you've seen my channel and then you see Rich's and Aaron here, you will know that we're in different realms of expertise. So Rich has got it covered.
This is a little Gator we bought from Texas. We paid $1,000 for it.
That's wild.
Not running, and then I love these little side projects.
Yeah, me too.
Welded all the plastics back together, put a bunch of lights on it, got it running properly. And then this is kind of our pit buggy too for when we go racing with the Audi. So it's like a glorified golf cart. It's four-wheel drive and goes 40 kilometers an hour. So this thing I use actually the most of anything.
See, this is how we get along well. He said the word golf cart. He didn't put it down too much, because I've got 3 of them. And when you say golf cart, I would just as well trade my vehicle for the road and keep the golf cart. So I am glad you like the same thing I do.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, that's great.
This I almost forgot about. This was one of our first builds on the channel, and unfortunately, it's a W124 wagon from Japan. So it's a very clean car.
Look
at
at
5.7 turbo LS in it, and it's anything but reliable.
wow.
So this was a mistake.
Okay, yeah, I can see.
Yeah. So this was the back in the Matt Happel days where you could do an LS swap for $3,000, and we've got a pile of money in this thing, but it overheats. It gets too hot because of the turbo. Energy is heat, and you got to get rid of it. So the rad is too small. Get the intercooler in the way. Not big enough fans, and it vibrates because of the drive line. And every time he called me, I hate the phone. I was like, oh, what's going on now? He's like, well, this leaks and that overheats, and this is. So then I said, can I please just buy the car back?
Yeah.
So this one runs and it's okay. I just can't. I need to, now that I've learned everything that I have in the last like 8 years since I've built this, I'm like, I would do so many things different again. And one day I want to treat this car right. For now, it's just going into storage.
Yeah.
It's generally in the trailer, but I had to use the trailer. So
the one last thing I wanted to ask you about was, you got a lot of stuff going on with Edison Motors as well, and so you've got the conversions happening that is pretty big.
Yeah.
What's the next big thing for you that way?
So the next thing for that is me getting the Ram ready for a prototype.
Yep.
So what we're doing is replacing giant diesel engines with a smaller diesel and a generator, and then batteries in the frame rails, and then electric axles.
Okay.
But what they asked me to do is design a kit that fits in every generation of model of truck that's been built in the last 40 years.
There's a few of them out there, I heard.
But I think I have it. We've got the axles coming together in a machine shop in town to test the theory
Okay.
of the process of how I'm going to do that. If that works, then we can we're getting our own dual motor setup made in China. And then in the meantime, we're getting the 450 and the 550s all share the same axle.
Yep.
So basically that kit is going in the Dodge Ram just to make sure that the whole kit works and talks to each other. So the engine, generator, batteries, PDU, BMS all work together. If that works, then we can start selling those kits into 450s and 550s, because Dana makes this axle that already has an electric replacement for it, while we are building the axles that will go in every 3/4 ton and 1 ton truck. So
that's pretty exciting.
So that I'm losing sleep over.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's so exciting. The phone calls and stuff that we're getting. A lot of testing. So that's what the testing in Alberta was.
Yep.
That was why we went to China, and why I went to Moab and Arizona. So that has taken up so much of my time that it's like I did not expect to do that, but I couldn't turn it down either. So it's like I got a lot of stuff I want to finish up, but at the same time, like I can't turn that opportunity down, because that's putting Canada on the map. This is inside the shop, but actually, like almost all summer, I haven't been able to wrench inside the shop. It's because I'm traveling so much that there's a layer of dust in here, which is embarrassing. But I'll show you around. This is the frame for the hybrid, and it's a second gen Dodge frame, and all we did was sandblast it and prime it, because we're going to be welding. So the batteries are going to go in the frame rail right here, and beside the fuel tank, and we might have to modify some of the cross members. I don't think we will. We don't want to, but we're going to leave that option open. So we didn't paint this just yet. But the cab for it is up in the air there, and it's all it's been completely gone over. So while we were in China, we had Ontario Truck Rebuilds paint that for us. Did an amazing job. The frame is going to go blue, electric blue, and then all the high voltage wiring is bright orange. So we figured that would match really nice. So right now the back axle is almost done, and they're working on the front axle. What we were doing is converting, still keeping our stock brakes and suspension, and then putting an electric motor in the middle. So we're waiting for some patents and some IPs to finalize before we release those videos. But we've done a lot of my work has been done in that shop so that we could get this together. So I'm very excited about this one. The truck is beautiful, 4th gen interior in it, 4th gen bumpers, step bumper in the back. So we tried to make an older truck modern, and then also a hybrid at the same time. So very excited about that one.
The 2nd gen era was very popular. I think it was sort of one of the last truck is a truck, solid built. I still remember the old commercials on TV. But
so that being said, the 2nd gens, they had the Cummins in it, but they weren't that great of a truck.
Well, everything around the Cummins was, I'm not going there, but it was up for debate.
So our theory was, if we can take a 2nd gen Dodge and make it good, we can make any truck good.
Absolutely.
Right? So this is my Silverado. This is actually what I'm doing this week. This cab is going back on my frame. So this is my baby.
I remember this,
Yeah, so I've had this truck since 2007, and it's gone through this will be version 3, but I've got 500,000 kilometers on this girl, and this is the one that I took to my wedding. This is the one I picked up my wife in on our first date. No, sorry, I met my wife first. And we bought this after, but we did take this to the wedding. Kids home from the hospital, all stuff like that. This one means a lot to me, so it's been completely gone over. So this week it's getting the soundproofing on the firewall and inside. I got to put the clutch master and the brakes on this, and then it can go back on the frame here.
It's wild to see trucks of this era in this condition, and this is getting back to where we live.
Yeah.
Usually you see trucks like that, or the 2nd gen Dodge.
I say that's my truck, but I bought that body down south.
Okay. Here's the story.
The only thing original is the frame.
Well then, okay.
Just the frame here. So this is compound turbo coming. So this runs. The transmission's all rebuilt. All the suspension's been redone on it. So this one's pretty well over the hill, even though it doesn't look like it. We're almost done. So I gotta fine tune the running on it. I gotta do, like, I'm missing the tensioner, all little stuff like that I'm sourcing. And then once I have a bunch of stuff and I can focus on it for a week, this one only needs about 50 hours and it's done. So this one is a hard push on this one next, just to get it running and driving out of the shop under its own power. So, and it won't take that much, actually.
Yeah, and I think, Rich, one of the things that I first noticed about your channel, all these conversions you're doing, it's not a typical, repair channel. I think you're doing stuff that we all dream of doing the way it should have been, and you're actually doing it and doing it pretty well. So
this truck is what started the whole YouTube channel, is that it had a 6-liter gas in it, and I did the calculations at $1 a liter. You got your Americans will have to do the conversion yourself. Every 100,000 kilometers that I drove, about 60,000 miles, would cost me $28,000.
Is that right, eh?
Yeah, so 400,000 kilometers on this, which is what I wanted, would cost me over 100 grand in fuel.
Wow.
I can't do that. Like, I only paid 22 grand for the truck. So then I put a Cummins in it and cut my fuel bill in half, almost in half, not quite, almost in half.
Yep.
And then that led to doing other conversions, and here we are filming it and putting it on YouTube. So,
well, I'm glad you're doing it, because I think about doing it, and then I think about my skill set and my lack of skill and time, and well, here I am back out cutting wood.
Yeah. So this is a 67 GTO. I went halves with a buddy on mine, and the Audi's leaking out. That's not good. But it's got ceramic coating on it, so we're good. But this 455, we drive this one quite a bit, but I put a Sniper 2 on it, and then I had to leave for something else again, and then that's where it ended up. It's almost done, but that's probably it for this year. So we'll finish this one up, clean it up, park it, and take her out again next year.
And this thing has, it's seen its day. This is the Audi, I believe.
Yeah. So
the Quattro. Aaron, how do you say it again? Quattro? Deboss. Yeah. So this is how old is this one now? This has been on a build series a few years ago?
No, this was done in 2018.
Yeah,
and it's had 2 different iterations on it too.
Yeah.
But this is a 91 Audi V8, still all-wheel drive Audi with an LS swap. It's gone through 3 or 4 different engines now, and still all-wheel drive, but 2 two-stage turbos in the back, so 4 turbos. But you can see all the work that's actually done on there. If you can appreciate all the plumbing and everything that went on underneath this car. I basically built this whole car upside down, and on a rotisserie, and it's got a full skid plate on it, and then all boost control. All the intercoolers and radiators are in the back to get the weight to the back.
Sure.
And then it's just an engine in the front. So we're redoing some of the air dam to get the air down lower. We're getting air comes up over the top, and all the air comes from the radiator out this giant hole in the trunk. But when we're going fast enough, we get turbulence coming behind the car.
Oh, okay.
And it keeps the air from coming out. So I have to redo all the damming to get it out into the diffuser. And I think down lower, we'll get a lower pressure, which will suck more of the air out, because we've had some overheating issues.
I see.
So yeah.
That's a masterpiece in itself. I remember seeing this years ago. Even that might have been before my channel was in existence, and it reminds me of the Hot Wheels cars. You know, the ones we all play with as kids, and then you see something made out of it that's wild. That's pretty much it right there.
Yeah.
So
this one's our 64 C10, and we need some wood cut for the back of this one. This one's sitting on a 2015 bus frame, so it's full air ride. Like super, so it would have been like a 28 passenger bus, and this one runs. I haven't touched this one in a year and a half, but you can see I used the pine and the pine boards here, and we need to cut some nice white oak for this.
Yep.
But you can see that this is all really heavy duty. Just the drive shaft and transmission needs to be hooked up, and basically just the wiring, and then this one's good to go on the road. So this one's got, I also need to redo the front clip because it's on air ride, but it can actually go lower, but the tire hits the inner fender. So now the biggest hold up is I need to make the whole hood tip up like a transport truck, and then I can slam it right down on the ground. So this has a LB7 Duramax in it. And then this is compound, or not compound, twin turbo with a dual plenum intake. And this intake is meant for an LS, and we made it fit a Duramax. So this is the only dual plenum Duramax that's road legal, yes.
Yeah, that's the thing I was saying before, that innovation, you know. I could buy an engine and...
So the engine that was in here was like a little 327, I believe. And it was so tiny in here.
Yeah.
Like an engine bay is supposed to have an engine in it. This was about the biggest engine that
I was going to say, a truck of this age, normally you can fit 2 people on either side.
But that's no fun.
No.
That's no good.
Yeah.
So, and actually I traded a 39 Studebaker for this cab. And it was only the cab. The box was completely gone. And then we found the box actually in the scrapyard, and that's actually a Dodge. So the patina matched. So unless you know, you realize that that's not the box for a Chevy.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known. It looks fitting.
But I still have the hood and the roof off of the Dodge, and I want to build steps, like step bars that goes on the bottom, so that it looks like it sits right on the ground. And then so in my head, I'm like, okay, with the step bars, the wiring, and the hood, I need like 200 hours for this one. And I'm like, when do I find 200 hours, right? So I should just lock myself in the shop and don't answer phones and don't pick on anything else, but this is just where life is taking me.
Yeah, that's all right. It gives us something all to look forward to.
So now I got the hydraulic actuator. So now from Princess Auto, so that'll like tilt the hood. So you hold a button and the whole hood will just lift up on its own for you, and then suck it back in again too. So one step closer, it's like those are the parts that I needed for that, right? And then this is actually my favorite one, and I'm very disappointed I did not get this one on the road this year. I promised my daughters I would, and we did not get there. It's been so long, I don't even know how to open the hood anymore. It's this one. And this is a 84 Bronco with a 5-liter Coyote in it, 680. So Ontario Truck Rebuilds painted this one as well. It runs. I need to wire up the transmission because it's a 680 and wire the start on it. So we're going keyless with this one.
Okay, modern,
And it's going to take, I probably need like 150 hours on this one, and then it's done. So I just got to find 150 hours and then we're good.
Well, when you find the time, you let me know where that time's hidden. I'll buy some.
It's but yeah, not a dull moment. I've committed to not buying any more projects, and just trying to finish off what we got.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting life.
It's funny. I thought I knew what was going on here before I made my way here, and after talking with Rich and Aaron and Andy as well, it's crazy the amount of stuff going on. And so once again, Deboss Garage, I'm going to put the link in my video description, and yeah, it's as cool here as you think it is, and probably some more. So thank you again for giving me the tour, Rich.
Yeah, no problem.
Aaron, I appreciate it. And I'm sure I'll be here picking your brain as long as you let me.
Yeah.
There's some real cool stuff here.
Anytime, man.